schneidet man hinten. So. Das da ist noch weg. Hängst du mal fest. Okay. Gut. Den Versteller, ja, das wird gesteuert.
Used oil drips from within the flat engine. No one knows when the six-cylinder engine of the Revive the Passion Porsche was last started. Time for the experts from Porsche Classic to take stock. The engine will now be completely disassembled. The individual parts will then be inspected and checked for wear. And then we'll decide what new parts we need and what we can recondition. The 2.4-litre engine of the US Coupé developed an impressive 140 horsepower in 1973. Now, broken wires and a bird's nest are the least of its problems. Water has seeped through the intake system and damaged the cylinder lining. Minor abrasion marks are removed by machining. For everything else, the answer is Porsche genuine parts. We'll renew this. These stains are corrosion in the cylinder lining. You can see it's really eroded, so it makes no sense to keep it. After the complete restoration, the engine has to be in perfect new condition, and that takes time. For this amount of work, you're probably taking 80 to 100 hours, depending on how you go. There are lots of parts to sandblast and recondition, and of course, all of the steel parts have to be galvanized. That involves a lot of preparation. The Porsche 911 T Coupé spent many years neglected and unused in Los Angeles. As well as signs of wear, the horizontally opposed engine in particular suffered damage through not being driven. The best example are the pistons. These need to be replaced because they're completely rusted. It makes no sense to reuse them. Of course, all the bearings will be replaced with new parts during the engine overhaul. Here, overhauling the carefully designed crank drive of the robust six-cylinder engine is sufficient. The intermediate shaft could be broken, and the crankcase might be fractured. Even the crankshaft could be broken. In some cases, there can really be major damage. But at the moment, at first glance, that doesn't seem to be the case here. The expert opinion is that this engine was never excessively loaded. The engine's mileage is estimated at 100,000 kilometers, which is relatively low. The durable six-cylinder engine turns out to be a good candidate for restoration, despite its poor external appearance. We're fortunate here to have workers who've been in the company for over 40 years. In other words, they know exactly what to recondition and how, what's worth reconditioning, and what's cheaper to just replace. Of course, we'll replace all the bearings. We'll clean the crankcase and all the other parts in the washer. Then the crankcase will be sent to Weissach for X-ray inspection. And then we'll start if the result is positive. Then the crankcase will also be measured. After that, we can start with the step-by-step reassembly. Some parts, such as a throttle body for example, are no longer available, so they have to be completely overhauled. New throttle valves are installed, the bores are cleaned up, recoated, and then they're as good as new. This mint condition 140 horsepower engine, coupled with the air-cooled Porsche flat engine sound, will give the Revive the Passion winner pleasure for years to come. One question that will keep cropping up in any complete restoration project is whether to keep the original or make a new one. For the Revive the Passion 911, Porsche Classic can draw on over 35,000 genuine parts that are always in stock. We often get cracks on things that are in direct sight, like this dashboard, for example. The material hardens in the sunlight, and once that happens, there's no point in refurbishing it because it will never look right. In a case like this, our only real option is to relaunch the part using the original molds and with the original finish. Needless to say, customers accept this because we have this problem with almost every car that comes from the USA. The Revive the Passion Porsche 911T has to meet the highest quality standards, technically like new, but retaining its original character. These are the original instruments that we're having overhauled. They'll have new rings put on, new glass faces fitted, and the counters will be overhauled. Most counters contain springs and gear wheels that can wear, or the springs in the guide can bend, with the result that the counter no longer works correctly. Authenticity and individual customer wishes have top priority in the Porsche Classic workshop. That's an original switch, we've checked. In other words, the rotary knob is still the old one that we were able to reuse. Only the back part was replaced, because the contacts on switches usually burn off, which means a switch no longer works properly. With a complete restoration, we usually try to replace all wearing parts and reuse parts that are still visually and functionally okay. The old 5-round instruments with their timeless beauty are shining like new once more. Of course, the same can be said about the entire interior of the Revive the Passion Porsche. But before the restored original seats are returned to their usual spot, the upholsterer takes care of the roof lining and sun visors. The sound absorber and carpets are also a job for the upholsterer. The original textiles cannot be reused here, since all of the materials used must meet the high Porsche standards with respect to quality and safety. So we're finished with the painting. The exterior paneling is painted. And now we're starting on the work that you don't see. We're mainly talking about the wiring harness, which is already in. The instruments are in. Now that the sound absorber is in, we can start fitting the carpet. Don't forget that while we're doing this, work is continuing on the engine and transmission. As soon as the upholsterers are finished, the engine and transmission will go in quite quickly. Then the doors go on, and then there's not much left to do. Revive the passion. The cooperation project of the Porsche Club of America and Porsche Classic has reached the final straight. It's time for the classic car's final assembly. This brake caliper is from the S model, which no longer exists. The brake discs are new, the wheel bearings are new, but the anchoring plates are original. These were shot blasted and regalvanized. The shock absorber struts are new and the control arms have also been replaced. The 38-year-old Porsche 911T US version continues to remain true to itself, even at this late stage of its complete restoration. Many of the parts are still original. Take a heat exchanger, for example, clearly a wearing part. In this case, the only solution is to replace the part. However, fortunately, the engine and transmission housing is the original, so we still have the matching numbers. These parts are simply given a visually attractive finish, surface treatments to protect against corrosion, etc. Every single part receives the necessary reconditioning. This is the only way for the old times to be faithfully revived. For a 38-year-old 911, solving this task is not as simple as it might seem. But of course, the experts from the Porsche Classic workshop know exactly where to find the original parts they need. After diligent reworking, the parts are returned to a perfect new condition. There's no denying the enthusiasm of the technicians. Emotions? You're happy when things work out and everything is running really smoothly, as it is at the moment, so that we get the car finished on time. It's always interesting to see how the car fares on the road. The big moment has finally arrived. After almost 1 year and 1,400 working hours, the 911 comes back to life. Of course, we're pleased to have completed the car and to have produced such a beautiful object. The silver finish is very elegant. On the other hand, we're naturally a little bit sad that the car is leaving us. After all, we love looking at a car like this. Fully restored, the 911 radiates 70s charm. The classic model of old has turned into a sought-after collector's item. The 911T now looks like new again. Because it is. I wouldn't say it's better than new. There are a few points of difference from today's cars, particularly in relation to the cathodic dip coating, which didn't exist at the time. But I would say that the car is at least as good as when new in 1973. In view of the equipment in the coveted Classic, the term inner values takes on a whole new meaning. While removing unwanted signs of age from the engine and body is a major challenge from a technical point of view, restoring the interior calls for great sensitivity, excellent workmanship, and experience. It's worth pointing out that there was another issue for us. The car was by no means complete. There was almost nothing left of the interior, making things difficult for us in some cases. Because interior components such as small switches, hooks and clips, etc. no longer exist, it was a little more difficult to get hold of the parts. The 911T is ready for the road and for its new owner. After the raffle among PCA members, the winner will take delivery of the precious object and can then revive the passion. Goodbye, 911T. We wish you a pleasant journey and a long future.